Good to be back in the garage after a long summer with George. We've been travelling all over the country to various events. He's provided accommodation and very practical transport. I'm really thrilled with how reliable it's been after a few little jobs at the start, including the starter motor and points and renewing the replacing a fuel pump and fuel lines. After I did that, it's been absolutely a turnkey car, so very happy with it. After all the long journeys, there's two things that have cropped up. Under strong braking, there's a whining kind of noise from a rear brake shoe. So I'm going to change the rear brake shoes, and there's also a slight humming from the back as well. So I'm going to change both the wheel bearings. Straight away, as I have that jacked up, I can tell that this one is the culprit. The wheel nuts are tight on that, but there's just that little bit of play. You often see them testing that at the NCT. So that means my wheel bearing is at least loose. But because I don't really know the history of this car, haven't had it that long, I could have just tightened this, but I think I'll actually change the wheel bearing because I don't know their history. We have a long journey at the weekend, and I don't want to have to strip it all down again, and I'm changing the brake shoes this time anyway, so I'll be in that far this time, so it won't be a lot extra to change the bearings. Nice big drum brakes on the back of this estate station wagon caravan version of the Kadett Astra. On Gina they're only about 20 centimeters across, 8 inches approximately, and on George here they're more like 25 centimeters or 9.5 inches. So much bit more braking capacity on the on this version. That screw, which I have to get off to access the brakes and the wheel bearing, is going to be awkward. It looks very worn. Somebody's been at that with the wrong tool, I guess. I just need to take off this dust cap, and that will expose the bearing. I've actually put the brake on again to hold this tight, and I'm going to use a screwdriver like this that I can put a spanner on, and hopefully with a bit of leverage I'll be able to get this nut off in one piece rather than having to go and get the drill. Moved a little. It's not just the car that's rusty, I'm a little bit out of practice myself. I'm forgetting to use water dispersant for everything. Try and make life as easy as possible. That's brilliant. I didn't think I was going to get away with that. Makes life easier. Release the handbrake again. Judging by the age of the grease, it's not been a stupid amount of time since somebody's been in there, but gotta think whether I'm going to bother changing this or not. Slip the hub off first anyway, get a look at these shoes. Nice and straight. Not too bad. Measure them against the new set. It'll be interesting to see how tight or loose this hub nut is. Now that actually seems very loose to me. So I'm starting to be convinced that I'd actually be wasting my time to change the wheel bearing on this. I'm actually going to just tighten that up and see how it goes over the next while. It's the grease is fresh enough that's on it, so I think it might have been recently done and actually not tightened enough. Go with that. Can always bring the spare one with me, as I have been doing ever since I took Gina to Germany. I've had the same wheel bearing with me in the car. So, got to release the spring at the top of the brake and across the bottom to get these shoes out. It's never easy. And these clever little springs on the side. There you go. When the spring is on, this little cap is just over the back of it, and you have to just press in and turn it to get it off. These are all in good condition, so somebody used a fresh kit, I'd say, when they did this. I didn't need to undo that bottom spring, by the way. I just did the top one. I'll clean all this down, but a dust mask is advisable because this is some nasty stuff from the brakes. So I've laid these out on the bench so that I can transfer over these little components that don't come on the new parts, and lay it all out so that I can just copy it over one for one. I always find it a good idea never to disassemble the other side of the car while you're working on this one, so you can go back. Although it's the opposite, it's still a very good reference, so you don't get lost. You can also see how the shoes, although at the ends here it looks like there's quite a bit of life in them, down towards the middle they're actually quite worn out, and it's worth changing these, and hopefully that little kind of humming, screeching noise will come out of it when the brakes are at their last. Okay, with that spring in the bottom, this is the one I'll connect this around the slave cylinders and use this one to connect it back up. Connect the handbrake cable thing in. This one. But this side went back together much the same as the other side. This nut needed less of a tighten. I've never seen back plates in such good condition on a 33-year-old car before. It's remarkable. It must have been indoors most of its life. So very happy with our investment here. Looking forward to doing plenty more motoring with George.